Firstly, before I start, I do know many of you may have been grounded at home and thus all the best of health to everyone in this period of tough times. Let's stay united in this global fight against our biggest enemy yet. Also, let's show support to those on the front line battling this crisis. In this time, we owe them our total support. Charity links to certain verified organizations have been dropped in the description below, and if you're interested, do check it out. Right, let's liven it up a bit. Here's the exciting content lined up for the first ever stream on the Airplane Productions. We'll start off with a quick look at what's coming up on the Airplane Productions, and then move on to the interesting part, your questions. But before all of that, here's a teaser as to what you can expect over at the Airplane Productions coming soon. Now that's certainly a lot to look forward to. Just to clarify, the questions we address later are those brought up yesterday in the community chat. If you have any burning questions, do type them out and I'll answer them typed out in the live section. Also, if you would like to see such content in the future answering more questions, do let me know. It's all up to you. Now let me expand a little on the clip you saw earlier. Yep, there'll be plenty more great detailed analysis and epic comparisons within the context of passenger aircraft. Also, some documentary series videos will be coming. Do stay tuned for those. The latest addition is the Aviation content section, an open space for aviation content outside the technical details and comparisons. While it is great to dive deep into the knowledge of aviation, sometimes we should take a step back, enjoy and indulge in the world of aviation. That's exactly what the Aviation content is for. Would you like to see more? And what more content would you like to see? I open the floor up to ideas, so do share your thoughts. Flight reviews, would you like those? Do let me know. And now moving on to your questions. Starting with one from the Airplane Productions Instagram page, the link of which is in the description below, so aka check it out. Wilson Spotter account asks, should Boeing design the NMA with more range of 7,000 nautical miles, interesting, to differentiate it from the other product from rivals? Not gonna name it. Now added, it's the condition it will be cheaper to operate than traditional wide bodies. Well, thanks for the question. Now firstly, I would say that while it is great to have long range as it expands the mission capability of the aircraft, 7,000 nautical miles, as he said, is a long range and is ultimately best suited for the long range market. Also, to achieve such ranges, the aircraft will need more fuel volume and engine thrust. Perhaps in the future, aircraft technologies will have gotten so advanced that they burn less fuel, but operating a 7,000 nautical mile aircraft over, say, 4,000 nautical mile missions will not be too cost efficient as simply operating an aircraft designed for 4,000 nautical miles. If airlines do want more range than the NMA, say 7,000 nautical miles, the 787-8 will probably be a better bet. So to answer the question, I believe Boeing shouldn't focus on range to differentiate it from the other products, but rather they should focus on higher levels of efficiency with breakthrough technologies that will give their product a distinct advantage over what matters most in this market segment, which is flexibility and efficiency. Moving on. This is a tough one. Airbus or Boeing? Well, I believe that both manufacturers produce great aircraft that we depend heavily on getting from A to B. Boeing has definitely got the freighter market, no doubt. But in terms of passenger aircraft, I think that each manufacturer has products that's better suited to each airline's needs rather than the whole brand itself. They also do bring unique values to each market segment. As an example, the 787 is better suited for airlines wanting more range than A330 without high capacity of say the A350, and it's also the cheapest long-range, ultra-long-range aircraft. While the A350 is better as a 777 replacement and has higher revenue potential, like the 777. Still, what's important is that competition between both has pushed the industry to new heights. Okay, let's see what else we have. Yup, from Pilot Sam004 on YouTube, and by the way, he does do some incredible videos on flight simulators. The first question he asked is, what do you think of the 797? Well, I believe the aircraft will continue to be in development and in accordance to which market segments Boeing wants to target. Is there a need for the aircraft? Is there demand? Clearly, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many airlines, the answer is clearly yes, as it will be perfect to replace older 767s one for one. But is it a huge demand? Is it worth it to develop such a niche aircraft at the huge 10+ billion price tag? Is it a big market? Well, those will depend on the efficiency numbers and figures of the aircraft. I believe that the Boeing 797 will be the best aircraft in the market if it is launched, and can be a market opener for many airlines, opening up new point-to-point routes with shorter distances alongside XLR. It will be perfect for the slightly higher demand medium-range routes and the XLR for low-demand medium-range routes. Now here's a good one regarding the coronavirus situation and what will happen with the 777X. It is under certification and deliveries out to 2021, so I don't think it'll have much of an impact on the program overall. Demand for air travel will hopefully be back by then, and in which case the 777X with its higher capacity will allow airlines to open up to offer more seats. However, it is down to the demand, and for most airlines, I think the 777X is slightly too big. It is capable, but smaller twin jets, say 300 seats and 8,000 nautical miles. It's really where the market is, and in that aspect, the 777X will be outdone by its smaller sister, the 787, which is no bad thing actually. Specifically, I do see demand for 787-10 with more range being a perfect -300ER replacement, but we shall see. A319neo, well, yes, you're right. I think as it is a shrink, it isn't the most optimized now to fly short haul. It was alright back in the 90s, but with operating cost margins shrinking, every percentage point matters so much more now, and the A220 is simply more efficient. Still, the A319neo is perfect for airlines that have a large A319 fleet, thanks to commonality, and the cost to transition to the new A220 may actually be higher. Which brings me on to the next question, and yep, that's a good way of putting it. Both are essentially shrinks of the larger versions, and thus they are not optimized with high seat costs. This will apply to most shrinks such as the 777-8, which isn't selling well either. However, in the case of the E170 and E175, the Embraer regional jets, E170 isn't actually a simple shrink, with different smaller wingspan and smaller engines. Thus the trip cost falls compared to the larger version. What is the major difference between all Airbuses and Boeings? Where Airbus, I think, puts a lot more emphasis on comfort and efficiency combined. I mean, they do have wider seats in economy by 1 inch and the biggest bins plus the quietest cabin. and for pilots they have more automation with the emphasis on reducing workload by having more automation. Boeing has a philosophy of giving the pilots more responsibility in decision making. Which is better, it's up to the preference really. Supersonic is most certainly exciting, and I would like to see more supersonic civilian transport aircraft. However, I think it'll be a niche market as the main focus is to reduce fuel burn and not increase speed. Moving on to Ahmad Parunda's question, hope I pronounced that right. Which is better, Rolls-Royce or GE in the wide bodies? Definitely, for now at least, I believe GE has definitely got the upper hand, with the GE NX being more reliable than Trent on 787, and the GE 9X is also the most advanced engine and largest out there, burning 5% less fuel than the competition. Now at this stage, do pardon my voice for sounding coarse as sandpaper, but hey, this is a 10-minute recording, so yep, hope you will understand and hope you're enjoying this as well. Now back to Instagram questions. Should Boeing create the first oval fuselage at the oval fuselage 797 or improve the 757 and 767s? Well, this is a good one. Even Boeing cannot seem to answer it for themselves. Now from my point of view, it will make sense to invest in an all-new airplane given the 767 is old and will be less efficient than A330neo or even the 787 even on shorter routes. Mainly as I said, due to the old systems. The 767 will need severe modifications which doesn't make sense for an airframe of that age. And the aircraft, as of now, doesn't have enough ground clearance for GE NX to be attached. The 757, however, is really unmatched, and improving the fuel efficiency will be interesting. But as it is out of production, it will be expensive to restart production work, and the logistics is literally as much as creating an all-new airplane, so it wouldn't even make any sense really. I think the new leadership over at Boeing views the NMA as too niche at aircraft, chasing a market which is limited. Boeing is looking at co-development programs including the NLT, and do check it out on my channel or just search Boeing NLT and find my video to learn more. Someone asked, States of Qatar, thanks for the question. Well, they are definitely doing well, continuing to expand, and I do trust in the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Akbar Al-Bakr to continue to transform and prepare the airline for a new generation of new competition. Qatar will however have to remain competitive, and with route creations making a paradigm shift away from the hub and spoke model of the past towards more direct inter-spoke travel, the airline will have to continue to revolutionize its business model. This is a good one. I guess what Cheng Wei Xiong is asking about the aid the federal government is giving to US carriers and Boeing due to the impacts of coronavirus. I believe it's premature to answer this as the full impacts of the coronavirus is yet to be seen. Still, both Boeing and American carriers have spent shed loads on stock buybacks, such as a $10 billion one in 2013. Whether they have allocated some profits towards cash reserves, that's yet to be seen. Airbus, however, isn't asking for state aid yet, managing to raise liquidity, I think it's $32 billion from their own reserves. And now CPL02 Victor Hayder asks about further developments to the A220. I think Airbus has announced their main plans is to lower production cost of A220, to sell it cheaper to more customers and ramp up the production. They have started studies of a larger A220 variant, but have announced it's not their top priority. One of the reasons could be the fact a large A220 will cannibalize some demand for their own A320neo, aka sister rivalry. However, a stretched A350-500 will have less range, so not directly competing. It will be the most efficient single-aisle, definitely in terms of the seat cost, but will fly short ranges, say 2000 nautical miles for 3-hour max flights. It will be interesting to see whether Airbus goes ahead, given the A220 is mostly owned. I think it's 71% by them. And on to the last one, well, Qantas hasn't yet placed orders for the A350-1000, or at least it hasn't been confirmed by them, as they are unwilling to make pre-delivery payments due to the tight financial situation currently. Airbus has announced they need to firm up delivery slots for the A350-1000 by March, which has now gone past and still no order. Anyways, also to clarify, it is not an A350-1000 ULR, as it doesn't have modifications to the fuel system but rather a range of improvements applied to today's A350, such as the higher takeoff weights of 319 tons that allow for the added range. P-Express Airline, cool name, asks Airbus or Boeing? Well, someone else already asked that, so yes, it depends on the market segment. Where I think he meant do, but anyways, I come from Asia's aviation hub. I like to think so, Singapore, and the video editor is iMovie. Why did I start the channel? So I've got a little confession to make. Back then I had another YouTube channel called Aviation Flyer. Link is dropped below as well, and that channel did the flight reviews and also such videos. However, I noticed that people were tuning in for trip reports. They weren't necessarily interested in these interesting comparisons, so I started a new channel back in 2018, and within the first year I think got 1000 subscribers, but yeah, it soon started to grow, and now I hope to get to 10,000 subscribers. My favorite channel? Got a lot of them. I do like One World Flyer, another trip reporter. He makes great stuff, so do check his bigger channel out as well. Bringing me nicely on to the last one. What specials am I gonna do? Well, what I'm gonna do is what you would like to see. Would you like to see flight reviews? I mean, I do have plans for those. One thing is that whatever is best for some may not be in the interest of others. As an example, plane spotting and flight reviews typically don't go well with, say, true F geeks watching my comparisons, so I will have to create quality content that appeals to what the majority wants. As an example, the epic comparisons have been most successful, so definitely more of those, and plane spotting, which hasn't got off to the worst start, though I do think flight reviews will not be suited to this channel, which is what the other channel is for, so do check that one out for more vlogs and more great flight reviews. Now back to a serious one. Neo asks, will Delta get the XLR? Well, I think if they were to get it, they would have already gotten it as Paris at 2019, as the delivery slots are now virtually completely taken up until, say, I believe at least 2026. That's a long time. They would have gotten better discounts at the air show as well. I think they are waiting Boeing's move to launch an all-new product with better performances, and will then weigh the cost of whatever Boeing has to offer at the time with the XLR. And then they'll make the choice, but the XLR is a very good airplane, though isn't suited to replace the 767s. I wouldn't want to curse any airline to fail, but yeah, I think airlines must stay afloat. It's clear that private airlines are definitely at higher risk, but they will pull through. And lastly, Tyler Barley asked for me to go through which is the better aircraft offered by both manufacturers in each market segment. Well, in terms of the single-aisle short range, both are equally good. The MAX 8 has higher performances and lower cost, while the A320neo has a newer cabin. However, in terms of the large single aisles, nothing can match the A321neo, which is in a class of its own when it comes to performance and efficiency. Moving on to the medium-range, smaller widebodies, without a doubt, the 330neo outperforms the 767 and is a more capable aircraft. I think that till Boeing launches the 797, the XLR and 330neo combination gives the airline the highest flexibility. Moving on to the medium-sized long range, without doubt, the 787-9 is the perfect aircraft with the lowest risk and costs, allowing airlines to open up new untested routes. For routes that justify higher capacity, the A350-900 offers the same range but with more revenue potential. And lastly, in terms of the large long-range widebodies, the A330 is one of the best, and in my opinion, it is the sweet spot for the long-range widebody markets of 300 passengers and 8,000 nautical miles of range. In terms of which is the best widebody families from both manufacturers, the 787-9, 787-10, and 777-9 combination from Boeing is strong against A330-900neo and A350-900 from Airbus. And with that, I think we have answered most of your questions. Now, if you would like to see more of such live streams, do let me know. Everyone is not in best spirits given the crisis, but we'll pull through this together as one united aviation community. Do stay tuned for one interesting aviation video coming soon. It's a short video and a mighty comparison coming next week. And before we end off, as ever, wishing everyone good health, stay safe, and a truly clear sky ahead.